body paragraph 1. Firstly, so here's a transition word, and that is something that they will be looking for, okay? So I'll make a little box over here of things that we know we're going to find in paragraph 1. All right, so this is part of our organization. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start over. And remember, we already talked about subpoint 1, but this is an expansion of that, okay? So you see there are no quotes in here because I'm using my own recollection of the topic and the thesis that I, already provided and discussed with the reader in the introduction paragraph. So we have our transition word to make it run smoothly. Firstly, my identity as a white male American is not representative of all students. All right, so that's our topic sentence. And that is setting the tone and the topic for the rest of this paragraph, okay? And this does, expand on the idea in our thesis statement that said students have varying backgrounds and experiences, all right? It just said why the perspective of the writer, which I made it a male, just to make things, shake it up a little bit. And, okay, it's saying the same thing. So now it says, they come from a variety of backgrounds, ethnicities, and cultures, including my own. Whether each student's particular culture would require the student to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America is a choice each student must make on his or her own. How can responsible educators trample on the individual rights of students of every background to express themselves as they see fit? Forcing students to recite the pledge reinforces white privilege and diminishes the celebration of diversity in schools. All right, so this is an elaboration, which is good, of our idea. It's organized. It's supportive of our thesis. It contains sentence variety. Right here, you see how I have a question mark, okay? I'm using rhetoric. I'm using different types of sentences to make this interesting and make my reader want to continue reading this essay. My last sentence here says, forcing students to reinforce white privilege and diminishes the celebration of diversity in schools. That wraps up the paragraph. It gets us ready to go on to discuss this further, okay? And it also, is definitely aligned with the ideas in the thesis statement. So on our checklist, we know that body paragraph 1 does follow a pattern of logical organization. And the methods used here are effective, and they are working to make this essay an effective piece of writing. So that item on the checklist for body paragraph 1, done. All right. I wouldn't change that at all. Does it contain clear transitions? Yes. We have firstly. All right. Got to get that on here. We also have a sentence at the end that sets the stage for body paragraph 2. Now, the checklist does go on to say things like, does it include an appropriate amount of supporting details within my explanations? Definitely. There are, how many sentences here? 4 or so? I need to count that. But it does support it. Is sentence variety included? Yes. Okay. And that's something you always have to remember, to please add one rhetorical question or, an exclamation point or something to vary your punctuation and, improve your just ability to use rhetoric to convince the reader here to side with you. So it also asks about word choice, and the words used here are appropriate for this essay. You know, I'll probably on your essays be going through and writing things like, BWC, which means better word choice, because you know you're going to take this test to become an educator, and educators have to show that they know how to use their words. So the words used here are the most academic and appropriate for the tone and the purpose of this response. Now, I do not see any grammar or syntax errors, but that's something that you need to look for. But don't take your whole 25 minutes or 30 minutes to, you know, make sure you're going over it with a fine-tooth comb, because they understand that this is your first draft. So you have to make sure that you're writing enough but not too much, and that you control your use of, you know, punctuation and grammar as you are writing, okay, as well as you can, so you don't have to go back and change a bunch of things. So that's something you need to consider as well. Talking about tone, the checklist reads, does my essay convey a tone that is appropriate to the topic, prompt, and audience? So the audience is the reader. The prompt is talking about standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, and it's in support of it. And the tone we're, you know, presenting here is very informative, and it's also, you know, it's distinguished. It is trying to present, you know, the person who wrote this, which is me, as someone who knows how to talk about this in a convincing manner. So words, word choice, you know, the way that we use rhetoric, all of these things are involved in the tone, and the tone is appropriate in this paragraph. So you just need to be able to go through all of these questions in each of your paragraphs to make sure you have what you need to get a passing score.